Televidente, bom dia. Bom-vindo na nossa transmissão aqui mesmo vivo direto for de Holanda. Kami daawen nos 13 Pablo, lo qual trata Aruba Investment Summit. No momento na aqui nós clapa do início nessa aqui, kami vai iniciar que a palavra de introdução de diretor de gabinete de ministro plenipotenciário aqui na Holanda, senhora Jocelyn Cruz. Nós passa de viaja, lo qual trata a palavra de introdução de senhora Jocelyn Cruz.
His Excellencies, the Minister Plenipotentiary of Aruba in the Netherlands, Mr. Juan Adi Thijssen, the Minister of Economic Affairs, Communication and Sustainable Development, Mr. Geoffrey Wever, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, inature televidenti na Aruba, bong tardi e bong bini. Good afternoon and welcome to the Aruba Investment Summit 2024. My name is Jocelyn Cruz, and I'm the director at the Cabinet of the Minister Plenipotentiary of Aruba here in the Netherlands. And I'm honored to be your host this afternoon. Today's summit is a significant endeavor aimed at showcasing Aruba as an investment destination beyond its renowned tourism sector. We are here to show the myriad business opportunities that contribute to the sustainable development of our beloved island. I extend my sincere gratitude to each one of you for attending this event. Together, we embark on a journey to explore the vast potential Aruba has to offer to forward-thinking investors like yourselves. Our agenda is packed with insightful addresses from esteemed speakers. We will start with a warm welcome from the Minister Plenipotentiary of Aruba, Minister Juan Adi Thijssen, followed by the opening address by the Minister of Economic Affairs, Communications, and Sustainable Development, Mr. Geoffrey Wever. Right after, we will be enriched by the perspectives of distinguished guests such as Her Excellency, Mrs. Mickey Adriaansens, Minister of Economic Affairs and Climate Policy, Mr. Jacob von Hof, Chairman of MKB Nederland, Mr. Vincent Storymans, the Deputy Representative of the Netherlands in Aruba, Mr. Diederik Kemmerling, the President of the Chamber of Commerce of Aruba. Our keynote speaker, Mr. Chris Knight, the Manager Director of FDI Intelligence, will inspire us with his insights on impact investing in the Caribbean region, setting the tone for our discussions on sustainable investment practices. Following a brief intermission, Minister Wever will delve into his vision and action plan for steering Aruba towards a sustainable future. Mr. Brian Lessinger, the Investor Relations Advisor of Aruba Investment Agency ARENA, will then guide us on a tour exploring Aruba's investment climate, offering invaluable insights into our business landscape. Our last speaker, Mr. Jair de Pauw, the Commercial Manager at Port of Amsterdam, will showcase the projects of the Aruba Ports Authority. As the day draws to a close, we invite you to participate in 2 breakout sessions where you can engage directly with the government officials and business stakeholders seeking answers to your specific queries about doing business in Aruba. And let's not forget to conclude this enriching day with a networking business mixer in the adjoining room, where opportunities for collaboration and partnership abound. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to each of you, and I'm confident that today's summit will be a catalyst for fruitful partnerships and ventures that contribute to the sustainable growth of Aruba. Without further ado, let us start off this summit by welcoming the Minister Plenipotentiary of Aruba in the Netherlands, His Excellency, Mr. Juan Adi Thijssen. Mr. Juan Adi Thijssen is a specialized lawyer in labor and constitutional law with a master's degree from the University of Tilburg. With extensive experience in legal practice and politics, including his former role as chairman of the Aruba Parliament, Adi is dedicated to representing Aruba's interests internationally while actively supporting community development initiatives.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and bon bini, as we say in Aruba, to all present and to our virtual participants. I am delighted to see so many representatives of the private sector and the public sector in the Netherlands joining us today. This is the first Aruba Investment Summit held in the Netherlands, and hopefully not the last. As Minister Plenipotentiary in the Netherlands, I support my colleague, Minister of Economic Affairs, Communication and Sustainable Development, Geoffrey Wever. We work very closely with Aruba, and at the Cabinet of Aruba in The Hague, we offer our assistance to bring you in contact with our colleagues at the Aruba Investment Agency, whom are ready to answer all your questions and facilitate your doing business in Aruba. Today, you will meet several of our experts from Aruba that are visiting us and recommended you to use this opportunity to gather as much information as possible and discuss the many business opportunities available in Aruba. We also want to know from you which are your needs and which business activities you are interested in. As you all know, the geographic position of Aruba in the Caribbean and closeness to Latin America offers great advantages, both for doing business in Aruba as well for a hub function to and from the Latin America Caribbean region. We are familiar with the business culture in the region, and we speak the languages, making it easier for us to assist you reaching out for new markets. During the coffee break, the breakout sessions, and at the business mixer, at the end of the evening, you will have the opportunity to exchange ideas and information and enjoy a little bit of the Arubian experience. Thank you, and I wish you all a fruitful evening, and hopefully this may be a start for you business in Aruba. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Tyson, for your warm welcome and hospitality. Next in line, we would like to extend our sincere welcome to our Minister of Economic Affairs, Communication, and Sustainable Development, His Excellency, Mr. Geoffrey Wever, as he prepares to deliver his opening address. Mr. Geoffrey Wever, born in the Netherlands, holds 2 master's degrees in notarial law and tax law from the Free University of Amsterdam. He began his legal career as a tax lawyer in the Netherlands before returning to Aruba in 2007 to work in corporate and tax law. With ample private sector experience, he eventually became a partner at a local law firm and a part-time lecturer at the University of Aruba. In 2021, Mr. Wever joined the political party Raiz, serving as a member of parliament and fraction leader before being appointed as the Minister of Economic Affairs, Communication, and Sustainable Development in September of 2021.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Good morning, distinguished guests. Good morning. As Minister of Economic Affairs, Communications, and Sustainable Development, I am honored to welcome you on behalf of the government of Aruba, on behalf of the Aruban people, and also on behalf of the Dutch representation in Aruba and the Aruban Chamber of Commerce as co-organizers of this summit. To acknowledge and celebrate the robust connections between the Netherlands and Aruba, connections that are timeless, connections shaped our mutual understandings and differences that make our friendships meaningful and stronger. We share a history. We share the present. And together, as we have always done, we can work together and build a future together. A future built on our ties, our goals, and our friendship. These ties are personal and extend beyond politics and history. We are one kingdom, with the connection being Dutch citizens. The Dutch kingdom is unique given that it is both a European as well as a Caribbean player, and Aruba appreciates these strong ties. Since assuming my ministerial role, I've made it a priority to enhance the business environment and encourage investment in Aruba. I firmly believe in the power of the business sector to deliver tangible results in the benefits for society. Historically, trade between Aruba and the Netherlands has been strong, with Dutch companies and the Netherlands playing a vital role in our economic progress. Our aim today is to show that Aruba presents significant opportunities for Dutch entrepreneurs seeking to expand into our market and beyond in the region. Through the Aruba Investment Summit, our aim is to showcase Aruba as an appealing investment destination in the Caribbean. Aruba has a professional and forward-thinking business environment, offering intriguing prospects for both Dutch and local investors. These include unique opportunities in urban development in two of Aruba cities, initiatives for commercial agriculture and sustainable development in the broader sense of the word, as well as opportunities in renewable energy and waste management. I look forward to delving deeper into these topics during our breakout session. As Minister of Economic Affairs, I'm committed, and the government of Aruba is committed to collaborating with you to boost Aruba's appeal as an investment destination alongside its thriving tourism industry. I'm convinced that once you realize Aruba's economic role, you will become enthusiastic about Aruba, and to be honest, I am sure that in time we will meet in Aruba and we will discuss and witness the results of the Aruba Investment Summit. I hope you enjoy the Aruba Investment Summit, and I look forward to engaging with you later today. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Waver, for your warm opening address. Next on our agenda, we have a segment where we will hear from esteemed stakeholders who will provide us with valuable insights and words of welcome. Please join me in welcoming Her Excellency Mrs. Mickey Adriaansens, Minister of Economic Affairs and Climate Policy, Mr. Jacob von Hof, Chairman of MKB Nederland, Mr. Vincent Storymans, Deputy Representative of the Netherlands in Aruba, Mr. Diederik Kemmerling, President of the Chamber of Commerce of Aruba. Their perspectives and expertise will set the stage for the engaging discussions and opportunities that lie ahead in this summit. Let's extend our warmest welcome to them as they share their valuable insights with us. To kickstart this segment, let's have a look at a welcoming video by Her Excellency, Minister of Economic Affairs and Climate Policy, Mrs. Mickey Adriaansens.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to address you today at the Aruba Investment Summit, an event aimed at showcasing the vast opportunities for investment in the beautiful island of Aruba. Aruba, with its stunning landscapes, rich cultural heritage, and favorable business environment, stands as an attractive destination for investors seeking to diversify their portfolios and contribute to sustainable development. Aruba represents a beacon of opportunity in the Caribbean region, offering stability, innovation, and a supportive regulatory framework for investors. Throughout this summit, you will have the opportunity to explore the various sectors ripe for investment in Aruba, from renewable energy and tourism to technology and infrastructure. Aruba's ambitious renewable energy goals present exciting prospects for sustainable investments that align with our collective efforts to combat climate change. Moreover, Aruba's thriving startup ecosystem and commitment to innovation provide fertile ground for entrepreneurial ventures to flourish. Whether you are a seasoned investor or a budding entrepreneur, Aruba offers the resources, support, and conducive environment necessary to thrive. I urge you all to actively participate in the discussions, forge meaningful partnerships, and explore the vast potential that Aruba holds. Together, let us seize this opportunity to contribute to Aruba's economic prosperity while building a more sustainable and inclusive future for all. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you a successful and productive summit ahead.
Next, I'm delighted to welcome to the stage Mr. Jaco van Hof, the chairman of MKB Nederland.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, Your Excellencies, for being here. And of course, good morning to Aruba and good afternoon to the Netherlands. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased and delighted to bid you a warm welcome to this Aruba Investment Summit 2024, which is organized for the first time here in The Hague. And what better place to hold this summit than in the House of Entrepreneurs, here in the Malitor. As you've been told, I'm the president or chairman of MKB Nederland, which is the representative of some 220,000 Dutch SME companies. And I hope that will mean something in the future in doing business with Aruba as well. Today we focus on the strong ties between the Netherlands and Aruba. And we are not just nations within the same kingdom, we also understand each other's language, culture, and legal systems. And that makes doing business with Aruba very interesting, because Aruba offers more opportunities than you might initially think, as it is a strategic gateway to Central and Latin America. Aruba has a deep understanding of both Dutch and Latin American cultures, so that offers an environment in which companies are better prepared to do business in these diverse markets. And besides that, setting up shop in Aruba gives you a direct advantage, as Aruba's legal system aligns closely with those of Latin America, making transition smoother. And let's not forget, and now this is the business part, the practical advantages which the Dutch and Aruba time zones gives those entrepreneurs a lot more extra time to do business. So I'm very happy that this Aruba Investment Summit has started. I wish you all a very fruitful and valuable afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jaco. Next, I would like to invite to the stage Mr. Vincent Storymans, the Deputy Representative of the Netherlands in Aruba. On behalf of the organizers, I want to extend our gratitude to VNO Aruba for their invaluable contribution to making this summit possible. Vincent, your assistance and support is deeply appreciated.
With protocol being established, good afternoon, The Hague. Good morning, Bombini, to our friends in Aruba. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you today. It's a real pleasure that you're here in such numbers, because this is the first time, as said, that we're organizing, or that Aruba is organizing, this beautiful investment summit. And we could only hope for such a wonderful attendance. So thank you for joining your afternoon, or spending your afternoon with us, and joining us in these discussions, which we think will be very fruitful for you as entrepreneurs. Let me take you back briefly to September of 2022, when I worked at the Consulate General of the Netherlands in San Francisco. I was Deputy Consul General there until this past summer. And we organized a large trade mission together with, the Royal House. Queen Maxima was in attendance. The King was also supposed to come, you might remember this, but a few days before he had to cancel because of his pneumonia. Well, that's a side story. But the invitation was extended to the countries within the kingdom, and Minister Wever represented Aruba at that occasion. And that was the first time we met, so September 2022, and I was duly impressed by the entrepreneurial and business-minded approach of the Aruban government. That was also, frankly, a reason for me to apply for the position in Aruba. I joined the Netherlands representation summer of last year, and I thought that's a very interesting island country within the kingdom. I would like to learn more. That led to my application, and now we're here attracting Dutch investors and entrepreneurs to come to the island. And I think, being an economic diplomat myself, I worked at our embassies in Beijing, in Moscow, in Washington, D.C., all in economic roles. Aruba, yes, is small, has a small population, but as has been highlighted before, I think the hub function, the position, geographic position of Aruba, the legal system, the business friendliness of the island are all very big draws, and can be very big draws for Dutch entrepreneurs. It has been somewhat overlooked, I'm afraid, so I think the last trade mission from the Netherlands is over 10 years ago, and in my humble opinion, that's long overdue. So I'm hoping that this summit leads to piquing your interest in the island of Aruba, the wonderful country within the kingdom that is maybe a little bit less known than we would like, and we really invite you to seek out opportunities for yourself and your business, because we think they're there. I'm the head of the Netherlands representation in Aruba. We stand ready to advise you, assist you in your endeavors, as does the Aruban government. I would like to highlight that the minister himself, but also the prime minister and the other ministers and other departments of Aruba stand ready and are at your disposal. It's a small island with only 120,000 people. And it is my experience for the past 9 months that the Arubans are very much welcoming, and I'm very sure that if you venture out and if you come to the island and you have a good business plan for inclusive growth in Aruba, you will be supported by the authorities, and you will also find support from the Dutch government, being myself as the Netherlands representative there, and will make sure that you are assisted and find your way. So I don't want to make it too long. I will be here and I'm at your disposal to chat and to connect, and I do hope to see you all on the wonderful, happy island of Aruba, and thank you again for your presence today.
Thank you, Vincent, for your insightful speech on collaboration and the future of relations with the Netherlands. Next, let's extend a warm welcome to Mr. Diederik Kemmerling, the President of the Aruba Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Good afternoon, everyone. Bon tardi. Today, we are very excited to introduce to you the opportunities that Aruba has to offer. It's not just an island, it's a thriving hub of progress with promising ventures, various sectors, waiting for your investment. For a small island like Aruba, with the size of Texel, we have had in total 1,250,000 tourists per year. During the pandemic in 2020, we only had 368,000 tourists. And Aruba has experienced a very rapid recovery of tourism after this pandemic. And the island continues to build and is expecting another 3,200 hotel rooms between 2024 and 2027. As well in the business sector, we see a steady growth. Now in 2024, we have in total 20,000 companies registered, compared to the 13,000 companies registered back in 2018. And we saw as well during COVID that we had a small dip, but it continued to grow. Only last year, we already registered 1,500 new companies. Wholesale, retail, professional, scientific, technical activities, constructions, Hotels, accommodations, and food services were the biggest and the fastest growing sectors that we had in Aruba. Besides that, the Chamber of Commerce is a registry company. We represent and advocate as well the local businesses and regulatory and economic issues. We have monthly meetings with all the different ministers to foster collaborations and to improve doing business on the island, with the objective of educating and informing. The Chamber organizes over 30 trainings and workshops per year. We organize 3 different business mixes per year, and we have an annual business seminar attracting more than 300 attendees per year. As you consider where to invest, I really urge you to look beyond the obvious and see the vast potential that Aruba offers. From sustainable construction to healthcare advancements, from agriculture innovation to expanding tourism, our island is ready to grow, innovate, and prosper. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diederik, for your encouraging words. Before we continue with our next keynote speaker, Mr. Chris Knight, Managing Director of FDI Intelligence, we would like to take a moment for a brief poll. So if you can all take a moment to scan the QR code displayed on the screen or use your mobile device to navigate to slido.com. Once there, kindly respond to the following question. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being very low and 5 being very high, how would you rate your risk appetite when it comes to investments? Started with neutral, then going very high, and ending up with number 1 and 2 high and neutral, which is great for Aruba. Thank you for this. It's important information for us. Thank you for your participation in this poll. As mentioned earlier, Mr. Chris Knight will now take the stage to delve into the topic of investing with purpose, focusing on the Caribbean region. When it comes to taking risks, impact investors are known to embrace challenges with a vision for positive change and sustainable growth. Chris Knight, Managing Director of FDI Intelligence, previously served as Chief Commercial Officer and co-founder of WAFTech. With over 16 years of experience in foreign direct investment, Chris specializes in marketing locations globally, analyzing FDI trends, and assisting IPAs from developing economies in attracting more FDIs. Recently re-elected to the IEDC Board of Directors, he has worked extensively with economic development organizations worldwide on lead generations and investment promotions best practices.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me today. I'm going to try and do this without a screen, so I might be looking behind me every now and then, so I will apologize in advance. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is get to know us individually. I have a QR code, please connect. I'm coming from the Financial Times, so the division is FDI Intelligence, but the company is Financial Times. And what do we do, right? So we are really there to meet investors and governments. So I'm working with countries, cities, states all over the world and helping them to attract more foreign investors. But on the flip side, I'm helping investors decide the best location which fits their needs. So we do this, and again, it's not a sales pitch, but we do this through a lot of data and through knowing the companies and through networking. But today, what we're going to look at is investing with purpose, with the main focus is going to be on impact investing and how that sits within sustainable development. So typically, I'm focusing on FDI, which foreign direct investment. And when I look at that, I'm looking more at what we classify as greenfield FDI. I'm not going to go into a lot of terminology for you, but basically, it's creating jobs. Usually, we're not looking simply at flows of capital. We're looking at bringing businesses to countries who are going to create jobs and help the economy longer term. So, you know, we will get involved a little in mergers and acquisitions if that's going to lead to the creation of jobs. Because ultimately, that's what we find important when we're working with countries around the world, is that creation of jobs. So today, I'm just going to look at impact investing. You know, I'm sure everyone knows a little bit about it, but I was quite surprised at how many different definitions there are in the world and how we could just bring it down to real business, right? What is it we're looking at? Because we've got ESG, we've got sustainable development, we've got CSR, we've got impact investment. There's so many acronyms around here. Let's cut through it and get to what we're looking at, and that is creating investment which has got social benefits. So, what is impact investing? And if you use Google, if you use ChatGPT, what it will tell you is the most basic definition is investments made with the intention to generate impact alongside a financial return. Okay, again, doesn't really tell me anything. So what I thought, let's look further. And we can look at all of these great brands and what they're saying. So the UN are saying impact investing is defined as the deployment of funds into investments that generate a measurable and beneficial social or environmental impact alongside a financial return in investment. Just look at the highlighted words. I think that's the most important. Measurable, beneficial social, and a financial return. I think this last part is what a lot of people forget about. The investors are looking for a financial return. This isn't charity we're looking at. You know, if we look at the Global Impact Investing Network, again, they're saying the intention to generate positive, measurable social impact alongside the financial return. And then finally, Rockefeller are saying the social or environmental impact alongside financial return. So that is the basis of it. You know, I thought, as I dig into this, let's put some notes, some context to that. And I've got three. So the first one is, this is not the same as philanthropy. I can't say that word, or charity, you know, because we're looking for this investment. In fact, this came out of the back of how philanthropists did not get the benefit expected. Why is that? Well, really it's because rich donors can be disconnected to what the actual problems are. And, you know, to be honest, they can be fickle in terms of, you know, this year it might be water quality is important, next year it might be, you know, gender neutrality. It will change regularly. So that wasn't really working because it has to be more sustained. So impact investing, the goal is for the revenue or the investment to go down to more local entrepreneurs who understand what's happening locally. They see what has to happen, the social benefits, and then they make that investment. So it is slightly different, and that's what we're looking at. It's worth noting also that not all socially inclined investment is impact investing. You know, it kind of goes against the grain, but if you think of it, if you buy stock in a global renewable energy company, that's not going to add more green energy, right? That's not going to have any impact. So it is much more granular than that. You're going to the local level and making that investment. And then finally is, you know, because I kept seeing everyone bang on about this financial return. So I wanted to look a little further, and really this is the most important part, because what that does is it sets a high bar for businesses. You know, they have to be able to say you're going to get a financial return. So it kind of weeds out some of the companies who probably aren't going to have that effect that we need. You know, and investors within impact, they're not looking for a quick win. You know, they're not looking for 1 year for this return. This is a much longer play they're looking at. And we'll go in soon to look at the sectors they tend to be in and what they're doing. But remember, it's usually a multi-year they're looking at. So where does it sit? You know, the whole idea, and my knowledge is much more around the sustainable development. Impact investing is one part of that, but sustainable FDI, or sustainable foreign direct investment, I can tell you over the past 5 years has become the most important thing. People are coming to us with requests. I'll give you a few examples of this. The Energy Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago came to us and wanted us to develop a strategy so they can move from traditional energy to more renewable, and how they could do that over 5 years. So we had to work along with them. We also had to build the full strategy for the island of Dominica to become a green island by the year 2030 or 2035. We're also having to work with cities in Canada, and typically people just want it, foreign investors. It's like, yeah, bring them and we'll deal with it after. But now there's so much criteria. Islands, countries, cities, they want the right companies to come who are going to make an impact on the country. It's not just people who are coming in because of costs, because of taxes. We want people who want to be there, they want to integrate, and they want to have overflows into the overall economy. So just in terms of, we talked about impact investing, but just on the others, what's the difference in impact investing in ESG? And again, all these acronyms, ESG is environmental, social, governance criteria. The main difference is that you can have really good ESGs, but not make impact investing. So an example could be a mining company. They might have all the right things within the business, equal opportunities, everything within the business, but what they're doing to the environment might not be having a positive impact. That's what our ESG is. If we look at socially responsible investing, this is basically where investors have that opportunity to either include or exclude investments from their portfolio. When I recently spoke to someone, the first question was, are you willing to invest in mining and, let's say, tobacco companies in your portfolio? And the answer is no. And then it was, is there anything you would like to have included in that? And that can either be regional, or it might be more on your renewable energies, your clean techs. And then the blended finance, which is the one I didn't know the most about, so I had to just look. So this is where you're combining traditional financing vehicles with other sources, such as cooperatives. So who are these investors? And that's often where it is. The first can be banks, it can be family offices, it can be development finance institutions, it can be investment managers, it can be pension managers, all of those. So that's where we are in terms of explaining what impact investing is. So what drives it? And really, if we're Aruba, if we're any economy, we need to understand what drives this investment to make sure we're at the forefront of people's minds. So there's two ways to look at it. You need to understand the drivers. Then you need to, second, you need to have the opportunities to invest in for the investor. So Aruba would need to look at these businesses, what they're often called IPROs, investment projects ready to offer. Like, if I'm investing into an infrastructure project, has that been packaged? Do I know what my return is? And then you need to look at the benefits of Aruba for your business. So the drivers are the first thing. The first driver of impact investing is market demand and consumer preferences. So, everyone in this room, we're more informed than we have ever been in terms of what's going on with the environment, in terms of social. So this is driving it. It's our attitudes. It's what we want in our portfolio. It is how we want to invest. And, I've only been in the Netherlands for a day. Long story, but I arrived a day early. I mistaken the day of the conference, so I got a day just going around The Hague. And, it's so sustainable. Every single thing I've done, from going to restaurants, from the hotel, it is unlike if I go to the US. So this market demand must be here from the Dutch people, and that's what's going to be important to businesses. Secondly, companies, rightly or wrongly, because of this demand and what the market are saying, their brand, they have to do it, right? And if that's what the market wants, if the brand is not seeing to do these things, it can be detrimental. Then the other reason is climate change. The awareness about that. I guess if you open the newspaper any day, like this morning I read Biden's changed the policy on electric cars again, but it's like a huge number to get to. It's near impossible. But we're hearing about this non-stop climate change. So this is really driving impact investing. And, you know, we need to try and meet that sustainable development goal. I think we're currently just a little off it. I think it's about 4.3 trillion. So getting further every day rather than closer. So it looks like we're going to have to start speeding up all of this. So, you know, this is a big factor. You know, you then have got financial markets and instruments. Even if you look at portfolio investing and all, you've got sustainable funds you can invest in. You know, maybe 15, 20 years ago, there weren't those options. So the market has moved. Then finally, there's a lot of policies around for this. You know, the one that I've worked the most on is in the US, the Inflation Reduction Act. You know, putting these policies in place is going to start speeding it all up. And in terms of foreign direct investment, over 25% of all FDI last year was in clean tech industries. You know, that looks at every sector. It's the highest it's ever been. You know, and this year we're already over that. It's about 30 so far. So it is absolutely key that this is going to continue. And, you know, I think Europe, you know, we've now got the EU Green Deal, trying to keep up with the IRA. So policies have also been a key driver behind this. So what's the size of the opportunity? You know, if we take a look, and what they classify it at is assets under management. Just looking at the growth, we're up to $212 billion in impact investing, grown by about 18%. I actually thought it would be a higher growth, if I'm honest, when I looked at these numbers. I think it needs to continue to grow if we're going to be successful. But 18% over the past 5 years, which is relatively low, I guess, if you think of it that way. So, you know, we can see here, this is just a makeup of where the investment has gone. If you look at percentage growth, yeah, you can see US and Canada, a lot of that recently will be driven by the IRA and some of that investment. But interesting is LATAM and the Caribbean, you know, #1 location for where these investors are going. Granted, the percentage growth isn't as high, but it started on a much higher basis. So it's really important within the region, and you know, Aruba needs to be getting its fair share of this and seeing what those opportunities are, how to market and package these opportunities, and then finding who these investors are. And hopefully there's some of them in the room here, because we'll be going on to looking at the reasons why we should be considering Aruba. Looking at the industries, no huge surprise. You know, we have energy with about, I think when I looked, it's about $34 billion is being invested. We have got the financial services industry at 13%. You know, the emphasis here is on developing financial markets and institutions and stimulate economic growth. We then have got healthcare. So again, looking at the year, some of this will be born off the back of COVID. There's been a lot more investment within healthcare throughout the world. So, you know, 9%, and the real idea is improving medical infrastructure, access to health services in certain countries, and innovative healthcare solutions. And you'll see, interestingly, they've pulled out microfinance from financial services. And this is more giving finance to the smaller companies who traditionally wouldn't have always got the financing to do the impact investing needed. So, you know, this is to empower these owners and individuals who would have been excluded traditionally. But some of the other industries which I think are interesting to Aruba are like the food and agriculture is getting about 7%. If we go a little further, we can see the waste recycling is included, tourism. We can see even under other, it spans so many different sectors, this investing. So the screen simply wasn't big enough for me to do a bigger list, so I put the highlights of it. So this distribution, this is going to keep changing, right? This will change depending on global policies, what's being discussed, what the key important factors are at the minute. Sometimes it will be housing will become more important, but currently I believe it's climate change, technological advancements, social inequalities, and then hitting the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals. Those are the main drivers behind this type of investment. So again, this is just showing the growth over the years. So we'll spend time. So I wanted to look at where the source of these impact, where are the impact investors, the people making the investments, where are they based? And if we look at Europe, look who's number one. The Netherlands is number one in Europe for investing in this type of project with 7% of the global market share. Equal with where I'm coming from the UK, followed by Switzerland, and then it's quite a drop before we get to France, Spain, and Germany. So this is a key market that I'd be looking towards. So where does it fit in terms of what we do in terms of FDI, foreign direct investment? So we can see it's becoming one and all. You know, impact investing, sustainable FDI, it's all beginning to become joint, you know, because they all have got the same desired outcomes. So a sustainable FDI project, well, they obviously want it to be sustainable and they want it to grow and they want it to have that impact. So it's very similar. As I said, we can see that gap is increased from 2.5 trillion to 4.3 trillion. So that gap's going to need to change. And so every agency, every government we speak to, this is the type of investment they're looking at. And it's you know, going to become more and more important. You know, we had to do a project where an African country was targeting foreign investment from China. But what they had to do was put a whole criteria. So when we were looking at every company, we had to check that it hit this criteria before the African country was willing to accept that investment. Now that is completely different to when I first started this like 17 years ago, when really people didn't look at that. It was more about how many jobs is this company going to create. It wasn't looking at the knock-on effects this company might have after they create those jobs. So, you know, every country I work with in the world is changing. We're standing here in Europe. It's the #1 region of the world looking at it. You know, it's when I'm in the US versus here, it's shocking how far behind the US is in many ways to Europe in looking at the sustainable investment. So what's been the trends within the Caribbean? Well, if we look at FDI projects, now FDI projects, I'll tell you, it's worth noting it's only one way of counting FDI, right? This is how many projects were announced in the year. This is not looking at FDI flows. This is not looking at FDI stock. This is number of individual projects where you can name the 60 companies, 60 foreign companies. And this is what we track. And we can see we're not working with huge numbers, but we're not working with the biggest location. And you can see it's been pretty consistent over the years in terms of FDI projects. Everyone had to decline due to COVID. I think the Caribbean did, in my head, remarkably well, particularly because back in the day, a lot of these investments would have been in hotels and tourism. So if you rip out all of the hotels and tourism investment, which I doubt there was any in 2020, and still hitting not far off the normal numbers, that shows that there was a different type of investment. And, you know, I think some of that investment was born out of necessity. Like when I was working in Dominica, they said one of the big challenges that they had was more of their fintech. You know, they couldn't accept electronic payments in every shop, so they had to expedite some of these things due to the pandemic. Then there was more investment in things like ed tech. Everything nowadays says tech at the end, but like educational technology, you know, where people can be based where they want and they can learn. And I think that was a huge turning point, because for Caribbean islands, it also means you can maintain talent. You know, if you can learn virtually, well, why would you want to go and live in New York, you know, when you can be somewhere much better? So I think the shape of this investment has changed dramatically from what it might have been 10 years ago. Where does it go to? I put this up, but in reality, it's not that interesting because really FDI typically follows population or GDP, right? So the higher the population, the higher the GDP, the more the FDI. So what we're really talking about is, what the words I use is contestable FDI, because a lot of FDI is going where the population is, right? If you're a legal firm, you're going to go where there's more people. If you're someone who's selling retail, like selling, I don't know, if you're Levi's, you're going to go where most people are. So a government can't really do a lot about that type of investment. What they can do something about is that mobile FDI, where a company has got multiple factors which are at play, and you can showcase the benefits because they can be anywhere. You know, they can choose which island they're on, and that's what I think is the FDI we should be concerned about, not looking at actual numbers. Because, you know, you could actually go through every one of these countries and make a discussion. If we see Guyana, 6%, well, that was down to about 3 humongous oil projects. So you remove those projects, then completely out. You know, if you look at the size of Jamaica and Trinidad, you know, I was looking at the numbers of population, and it's very highly correlated to that. What are the industries in? Again, this goes to the Guyana one because there's such huge projects, coal, oil, and gas. Hotels and tourism, less than 20%. Again, I would say that's a number I would question sometimes because of the way hotels and tourism works. It's not a traditional FDI. Quite often someone licenses a hotel or a brand takes a franchise, and there's different ways which would mean it is reported differently in numbers. But why I kept this one on is because I think when I look at 55% and I look at 7%, something's got to switch there. And I see this as a big opportunity in the clean tech and reducing a little on the coal, oil, and gas. Oh, you probably can't see this, but you know, this is where FDI to the Caribbean comes from. So not surprising, the United States, but followed by UK, Canada, Netherlands at 3%. You know, I think there's opportunity for growth there, but it's also worth noting that beneath the US, everything else is very mixed. And that's a good and a bad problem. You know, I often say to governments is, well, you need to be focused. Like, where's your investment coming from? And keep focusing on it rather than saying, we'll welcome FDI from everywhere, which of course we will, but you need to have a focus. And that's why something like this is so important. You know, that coming to the Netherlands, I can tell you, I have worked with countries everywhere in the world, and typically what they want to do is host an investment summit in their country. And then what they expect the investors to travel halfway across the world for us to sell to them. You know, in ways, this is how it should be. We should be coming to the investors and telling them, well, come and see for yourself. Seeing is believing. But a lot of people, like I often find, and controversial maybe, but some governments like the sort of patting ourselves on the back to host a big summit. You know, but the room is full of local investors. It's not filled with opportunities of people who need to learn about what's going on. So, you know, I think this is a great forum to do that. You know, you're basically, this room is Aruba. You've got everyone here who can answer the questions that you would be asking if you're in Aruba. So, you know, I think credit to everyone for putting this together and doing it in The Hague. So, I'm not going to do this justice this section because I'm not from Aruba, but I'm going to say as an outsider what I think the proposition is to investors. And I'm doing this based on how we look at locations when companies speak to us about where to invest. So, you know, I can't say this isn't coming from sales materials, this is coming from us. So I will apologize in advance to anyone in Aruba if what I'm saying is not all factually correct. Helps. So firstly, and I've heard it mentioned already, it's the political and financial stability and particularly the legal framework that's in place. This is absolutely key to investors. You know, the one thing that no one in the world likes is uncertainty. And that's why all of the FDI projects, that's why all investment stalled so much during the pandemic. No one likes uncertainty. I'm from the UK, and we went through a small thing recently called Brexit, and I can tell you, the whole UK for foreign investment just fell off a cliff. In fact, the first thing that I saw was like the day after Brexit was announced was a bus saying invest in Berlin. You know, everyone else took the benefit from it. Ireland, which I thought was pretty good, the day of Brexit changed their website to say the only English-speaking country in Europe. Like, they're so ahead of the game in terms of getting out there. And, you know, it was that uncertainty. It wasn't that Brexit, whether it's good or bad, the fact is it's bad, but the uncertainty of it is what investors don't like. So the fact that Aruba has got that certainty, that political, that legal framework is a huge tick for an investor. You know, strategic approach, looking at sectors which are for Aruba. You know, I went through the website, went through a lot of materials before I came here, and it is focused. It's not like, back in the day, if you think of countries, they used to say, we're great at software or IT. It's like, okay, that's quite a big, broad statement. You know, companies nowadays want that niche. What are our niches? And, you know, I'm seeing something which is exactly what I think Aruba should look at is ecotourism, wellness tourism. That's really drilling down to the needs of the market nowadays. And then there are, I think, everyone likes to say strategic location, but, you know, it is true. If anyone who is close to the United States is arguably in the best position, right? Because you've got, now with whatever's going on with China, we've got a lot of, well, you hear these words thrown around, nearshoring, reshoring, but really it's friendshoring, right? The US is encouraging people to go to places that they like to work with. And I think that's also very important. So, the industries. And now, I will be honest and say the 6 industries I got directly from the website, but what I'm going to say around the industries I got directly from my head. So, this part you see on screen is accurate. What I say, it's probably accurate. In my head, it's very accurate. So firstly, the knowledge economy. So, you know, this is whether it's higher education, whether it's scientific research, whether it's renewable energy, ICT. But why is this important for impact investors? Well, the reason is due to its potential to foster innovation, education, and equitable access to information. That's the key reasons. You know, it's going to create better quality jobs in a region, which is going to grow what they eventually make, and it will help grow everything. Next is agriculture. You know, whether this is to address food security, climate change, resource conservation, but agriculture is key. And, you know, every country has wanted to become more self-sustainable here, right? They don't want to import all food. You want to see whatever COVID showed us all of that, right? That, you know, in the UK, remember you had to queue up to get anything during that day that we were importing. So people are wanting to do more within that, and I think within fruit and vegetables, there's opportunities there. And, you know, there's also, an investor would also look at ease of doing things, improving how things are done, looking beyond agriculture and looking at, again, I use the tech word, but ag tech, that seems to be the hottest industry. Things like vertical farming, you know, let's not use the space, let's grow up, and there's big opportunities there. The circular economy, and, you know, this is, I think, for Aruba, the idea of reducing waste and maximizing resource efficiency. And this resonates well with investors. You know, it is using the waste to create a healthier planet. We then have got creative industries, and, you know, this is more than creating a movie or anything. This is more about supporting cultural preservation and having creative expression and looking at keeping that culture. So investors will look to grow that. And I think creative industries and culture leads really nicely into tourism. I think it's a very gray area between the two, because if you keep the culture up, there's more for tourists to do and see. And I was chatting about this before, and one of the key negatives I often see with tourism, and it can be a pro and a con, I get that, but it's these huge hotels, these all-inclusive, because while it's great, well, no one wants to leave, right? Because I've paid for my dinner, so I have to, if you're like my parents, you had to count what you ate to make sure it was value for money. But really what we want is to get people out of these communes, let's say, and spending money in restaurants, to go to stores, to see the culture, to invest throughout the country. And I think impact investing, or whatever we call it, FDI, this can all help. Logistics, like we did mention, if you look at the port, the airport, the infrastructure all being close to the US, it can make supply chains much more efficient. There's a lot that can be done there to reduce carbon footprints by doing things closer to the Americas. The next, there's niche tourism, and this is something that me personally, I'm a huge fan of, and I've been saying for, I think, 4 years when I worked in Africa, that they should be, and I think this fits to Aruba, so you can steal my idea if you want. But I think astrotourism is going to get pretty big. I'm based in London, and you see nothing in the sky, right? The idea of going out to an island that doesn't have air traffic on top, and you can actually look at the stars, I truly think that's going to grow. And it's something which, like, I'm working in Kenya and Mombasa, they're looking to do that. They take tours out to the desert, and it's pretty efficient, right? You're just looking at stars, and you'll spend an evening out there. And I know people who are looking to do this sort of tourism. But I was really impressed to see, wellness tourism is a big thing in Aruba, and ecotourism is something which I know when I worked in Dominica that a lot of investors had genuine interest there. So we were doing their matchmaking of the island and eco investors from the US, and there was huge interest above all other industries. So yeah, just, if we look against the other Dutch Caribbean islands, Aruba has, and again, apologies for all these acronyms, FDI flows, FDI stocks. FDI flows in a real basic context is all capital that flows. It can be mergers and acquisitions, it can be portfolio investment, it can be greenfield FDI. That's what builds that. FDI stock is the continuous amount. So if someone reinvests in their company over the years. So FDI stock will grow each year, whereas FDI inflows will be different every year. So we can just see that it is huge numbers in comparison, but what does this mean? This FDI correlates with economic growth. So if FDI is growing, that is a good sign that economic growth is, because these investors do so much research before they decide where to invest. So you can be assured that this is going to both lead to each other, right? Economic growth, a good economy leads to FDI. FDI leads to continued economic growth, and it's just a great circle which will keep going. And then, if we look at nominal GDP, which is basically just GDP, but it doesn't take into account the adjustments for inflation. We can see, again, it's top, but what does it mean? Well, it usually shows a diverse economy as GDP is growing, a diverse economy which investors like to see. It usually indicates stability and growth potential, but for impact investors, the key thing is economic stability. And that's what this is looking at. So that's really my presentation. I got some nice images of companies which have set up, but I think to finish up, I put this together, and all these can be shared if anyone wants it, but why Aruba? What is the value proposition that we see from where we're sitting? Well, first, it's the regional competitive advantage. The #1 investment climate since 2021. Even if I stopped here, I don't really need to show you the other benefits because, point 1 tells you it. But also, it's conducive to impact investment with the large economy in the Dutch Caribbean. We can go on to the government support, an open market-driven economy, the democratic institutions, attractiveness business climate. Again, this is all based on data. This isn't me selling the location. This is just facts that we found. Location, due to the connectivity, both air and sea. You've got the key one, the proximity to the Americas. Then we've got the promising sectors. So it's always a good thing, right? If your sector's aligned to the way the world's moving, rather than, I don't know, let's say, if your sole focus was in aerospace before the pandemic, you're in big trouble. There is literally no FDI within aerospace. So a lot of this has been changing. And finally, the innovative ecosystem and some of the key investors who are already there. So I didn't put the slide together on, well, what do I think Aruba needs to do, or what did I not see, right? And I know I can see all the organizers getting nervous now. It's like, you've done well, Irish guy, don't ruin it now. But what do they need to do? Well, I think it's identifying the opportunities. What are the opportunities for investors? Whether that are, who are the companies who need the investment, who are going to grow if we're looking for capital investment? So having screened those companies would be a huge benefit to investors. Secondly, it is looking at the opportunities. And, I use an example of Sao Paulo. I went to meet with the government, or Invest Sao Paulo, they're called. And normally governments would show you value propositions saying, come to Sao Paulo for tourism because we've got X number of employees, we've got this. They pulled out an iPad and it just showed me projects I can invest in and what my return on investment would be. And I do a lot of work in Dubai. And they once asked me if I could get a list of every investable project in the entirety of Africa. Like, that's the scale people are looking. So governments are looking to make these investments. So as a country, you having them say, well, look, we've done the research, and this is what you can invest in, this is what we expect, and this is what your return, I think could also be beneficial. And other than that, it's telling the story. Maybe Aruba's modest, but, telling the story, letting the work, you won't win investment if you're not in someone's mind. And that's why something like this really, really helps. And, I saw some of the social media in the lead up to this and the traction you were getting. And that's the sort of thing which doesn't cost, it only costs time. So overall, everything is here to be successful in FDI. It is just a matter of getting the message out to the world. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Chris, for your insightful presentation on impact investing. We're truly inspired by the specifics you shared, especially regarding the Caribbean region and Aruba. Before we continue with our program and we go and enjoy a break, I want to give everybody a chance to use your mic and ask any questions that you have for this panel before we say goodbye to this panel for now. The mic in front of you, you can put it on and you can ask any questions right now.
Yes, I have a question. Chris, your last slide said there's an opportunity to combine tourism with tech in Aruba. Why? Can you give an example, or what do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, there's always opportunities to add tech to everything, right? So you could have, if you could create local players to like Viator. I don't know if anyone uses Viator, but like a booking system, so create the technology to put the eco-tourist resorts along to investors. You also could be looking at doing more with, because I was speaking to a gentleman before, Airbnb seems to be taking off a lot in Aruba. Can there be technology to then put you in touch with activities you can do, to restaurants you should be going to, and that sort of tech? Then there's also technology within actual different type, like let's say astrotourism. You know, you might want to be out with your microscope, whatever, getting photos, using technology to superimpose things on. It's really a lot of options in that, and unfortunately, I'm not creative enough, and it's usually like young entrepreneurs who'll come up with something cool, but it's them having access to the finance to take forward an idea to become technology around that tourism. But I think, you know, it's also having, like this building, I think we heard this for startups, it's having that ecosystem where startups and people who are of that creative mind can share ideas, they can create things and build things and use tech. I always think, like, I only joined officially, I've worked for the Financial Times for 17 years, but I left for 5 to set up my own company. And the ideas that I had was finding market inefficiencies, right? Finding a problem that I can make into technology to solve that. And the one I did was, I was flying, like I was doing about 50 to 100 flights a year to do training to governments. I was like, why am I doing this? Let's just make an e-learning platform. And like, that's not even creative, but taking something and making it technology because you spot it like a challenge. And, you know, I'll give another simple idea for when you travel, and anyone who does this, 5% for me, but is when you travel, right? I like to play football and I like to play squash or tennis. It's really hard to do that when you travel. But what if someone created a site called sportsbooker.com where everyone who travels could communicate with each other, and there's linkages with local leisure centers so you could go and set up leagues. You know, just looking at technology that can solve problems we have in our day-to-day life. And thinking of that then in terms of tourism is where I would go. It's looking at from the moment you land off a flight, because not a lot of people think about it the way, probably like I do. The first person you meet is customs, which is pretty depressing when you go to the US. The second person you usually meet is a taxi, which is pretty depressing when you go to the US. But if you keep going through your stages from when you land until you leave, there is ways technology should be coming in. You know, I don't know in Aruba, is there an equivalent to Uber? You know, that's the sort of thing, once you land, that's the first technology I could be using. Then I get to my hotel, and then from then on. And that's, you know, when we look at hotels, we also look at import substitution. So I would look at a hotel, I would look at every single thing in that hotel, from a tablecloth to a knife to a fork. Where did they get that from, and what could be done on the island? But that's the way, and it would be, I think, between commerce, between Invest Aruba, that's the way I think people should be thinking about technology.
Any other questions? If there are no further questions, I'm delighted to announce a coffee break. Refreshments are available in the room next door, where you can network and engage in fruitful discussions. We will reconvene in 30 minutes for the next session. Enjoy your break.
E televidentes, ainda também nós passa para coffee break. No momento na aqui, lo que se me por anunciar tá que depois dessa aqui nós também tem transitioning into sustainable future, qual vai estar apresentar para o ministro Geoffrey Weaver, e depois nós lo continuar, mas depois nós também tem exploring Aruba investment climate and opportunities. Sai que uma apresentação de Brian Lenscher, Investor Relations Advisor at Aruba Investment Agency. Seguiu para project showcase Aruba Airport Authority, qual te vídeo de Gateway 2030, algo que seguro nós na Aruba tá costumar com negaba, é project showcase Aruba Ports Authority de parte Jair de Pauw, Commercial Manager at Port of Amsterdam, e também tem também 4 testimonials, Harry Koeman, owner de Aruba Wine and Dine, Jordi Kolwijk, director de Wings Global Media, Frank Timmen, director at Happy Ponics, Erik Meijt, System Project Development Team at University of Aruba. Depois de sair, nós temos uma breakout session, caminho com vai ter transformação de Oranjestad, como também San Nicolás, apresentar para Susan Santiago, e também Agribusiness, apresentar para Jeremy cruise. Dus es aquí todavía lo cual nos tini una vez que nos drenta después de coffee break que está tomando lugar en el momento na aquí na mi wasi nos está aí señor Knight, Brian Knight presente junto con nos. Sí, Chris Knight, sí, nós vai assim nós vai Chris Knight junto com nós. Caminha com nós vai uma entrevista rato com assim. Chris, how are you doing, sir? We're live for the people here at Aruba. Tell us a bit, how was your presentation? How did you feel? Did it go?
Firstly, thanks for having me. Bon dia to everybody. I think it went very well. We looked at the benefits of investing in Aruba, the opportunities. I think it's a very exciting time, exciting sectors, and I think the next stage is getting that message out to companies here in the Netherlands, around the world, about why they should be in Aruba.
The impact on the public here? How was the impact?
Yeah, the impact seemed good in terms of everyone had some questions, but we were chatting about impact investing overall and looking at investors who are going to add to the socialized social responsibility in Aruba and the big benefits in that.
At last, we got a question. How did it feel about the question? It was a good question. You gave a good answer also.
Yeah, it was a question about using technology in terms of tourism. And I think, that's where there's going to be big opportunities in applying technology to every aspect of tourism, from when you land at the airport through to you going out for dinner, through to you choosing the activities you want to do. Technology should be involved in all of these decisions. And it should make everyone's life easier, and it also eventually makes things more profitable, which is what I guess everyone wants.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Assim, dá-me tanto uma entrevista com o Sr. Knight. No momento aqui nós vamos para um break, mas nós vamos continuar aqui mais aqui rato, com o que trata depois de break session aqui não. E televidente, depois de coffee break cortico, nós vamos continuar aqui a Aruba Investment Summit 2024. Seguintemente, nós também temos a keynote de Minister Geoffrey Weaver, que está aí o tópico de Transitioning into Sustainable Future. Nós também passamos de biasina para o Minister Weaver seguintemente.
A chance to enjoy some refreshments and engage in valuable networking with fellow investors, government officials, and potential partners. Before we proceed with the program, let's take a moment for another interactive session. We will be conducting our second poll. Please take a moment to consider the following question. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Aruba? Why am I not surprised? Wow, love. I like that one. Carnival, sun, beach, investment opportunities amidst sun, One Happy Island, Ritz, tourism, jazz and salsa, relax, diving, baby blue oceans, friendly people. Thank you for that. We are proud of that, being One Happy Island. Kite surfing, sea level rise. We are concerned about that. Family. Home away from home. It is a home away from home. I miss it every day. So, vacation. Thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, as most of you already know, Aruba has been the top destination for tourism for the past few years. However, what you may not be aware of is that Aruba has also been hailed as the #1 investment destination in the Caribbean for the past 3 consecutive years, according to the Caribbean Investment Climate CICI by the Amsterdam Bureau for Economics, 2021, 2022, and 2023. As a top investment destination, Aruba is much more than just sunny skies and cool trade winds and beautiful beaches. It's anything but business as usual. The island offers an excess of opportunities beyond the typical fun in the sun. To give you a glimpse of what Aruba has to offer, let's take a look at the following video.
Bombini, welcome to Aruba, home to decades of resiliency, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Aruba offers a top investment climate for your business with one of the highest GDPs per capita in the Caribbean. As a self-governing part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Aruba offers a stable government, a reliable and secure legal system, and a financial system that meets the highest international standards. Located at the southern edge of the Caribbean, Aruba is a strategic gateway to the Caribbean and the Latin and North American markets with a strong passage to Europe. The island offers state-of-the-art seaport and airport facilities that complement the excellent transportation of goods and people. Exported goods originating from Aruba are free of import duty to the European Union. The island is also a beneficiary of the Caribbean Basin Trade Partnership Act, allowing businesses to derive trade benefits for eligible exports to the U.S. market. Most of the island's residents speak a minimum of 4 languages, which increases accessibility to markets around the world. Resilient and dynamic with strong economic stability, the island is a top investment for diverse companies interested in making a sustainable impact both locally and around the world. The island offers a high-value living experience, from windsurfing at one of the island's top-rated Caribbean beaches to a night out at the world-class Palm Beach Strip. Aruba is an ideal place to enjoy work-life balance. Connect with Arena, the Aruba investment agency. Arena supports new and existing foreign and local companies to invest in Aruba. We hope to welcome you to Aruba, your next investment destination.
As you have just witnessed in the video, Aruba stands out as an ideal investment destination, boosting a stable government, strategic location for global markets, trade benefits, a skilled workforce, sustainability efforts, and a high-quality lifestyle. To delve deeper into this topic, we are pleased to welcome back to the stage His Excellency Mr. Geoffrey Waver. Minister Waver will provide further insights into the investment landscape of Aruba and illustrate how the island is proactively transitioning into a sustainable future. Minister Waver.
Thank you. Okay, distinguished guests, friends of Aruba Montardi, your presence here at the Aruba Investment Summit represents your willingness to explore new economic opportunities and your general interest in Aruba, and we are grateful for your presence. The Aruba Investment Summit serves as a key component of the diversification strategy for the economy of Aruba. And together with the speakers today, we will do our utmost to convince you that your next investment should be in Aruba. Aruba is small in size, but is experiencing a period of economic growth and positive projections. Despite past challenges, our economy has shown remarkable resilience with interesting expansion opportunities on the horizon. In 2020, the economy experienced a 23% decline in output due to the pandemic, with visitors' numbers dropping from nearly 2 million to 600,000. The pandemic highlighted Aruba's heavy reliance on tourism, but also demonstrated the resilience of its small, open economy. The government of Aruba, with the support from the Dutch government, swiftly provided financial aid to businesses with the main purpose to prevent mass unemployment. And despite being heavily impacted, Aruba's economic recovery was swift. By the end of 2023, Aruba's GDP represented 112% of the GDP of 2019, with almost 2 million visitors returning to Aruba, being a record year with respect to tourism income. The economic forecast is optimistic, with projections from the IMF, the Central Bank of Aruba, and the Department of Economic Affairs, indicating positive nominal economic growth rates. The The Department of Economic Affairs forecasts that the economy will continue to grow in 2024 by 3.1 nominal compared to 2023, and that Aruba's GDP will reach approximately 3.5 billion euros, which is 115% compared to the GDP of 2019. This month, the Fitch Ratings has affirmed Aruba's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating at BBB+ and revised the rating outlook from stable to positive. And according, as we have already heard, according to the Caribbean Investment Climate Index published by Economisch Bureau Amsterdam, Aruba has the most attractive investment climate in the Caribbean. With the aforesaid, I hope to have convinced you that Aruba's economy is strong and that any investment made will most likely lead to growth and return on investment. While, of course, we celebrate the recovery, we must remain mindful of the lessons learned from the pandemic, acknowledging that tourism will continue to be our primary economic driver, and therefore the government of Aruba recognizes the imperative to diversify Aruba's economy. And to expedite Aruba's diversification strategy, we seek impact investments to propel sustainable growth. Given the available time, I will only be able to highlight part of our economic vision and plans. During the 2 breakout sessions, you will be able to ask questions and receive more in-depth information. Last year, we adopted an action plan based upon which we have initiated the transition towards a more sustainable and inclusive economy. This action plan consists of 13 projects and prioritizes sustainable agriculture, energy, water, construction, and entrepreneurship. It aims to promote green technologies and alternative energy sources, reducing Aruba's reliance on fossil fuels and mitigating greenhouse gas emissions, while addressing local community needs and environmental concerns. In order to foster commercial agriculture, the government has initiated a program to assist startups and expansions in the agriculture sector by providing access to microcredits, by launching an agri-fund just last week, and also by providing access to land areas and training programs. The main goal towards commercial agriculture is to safeguard food security for the Aruban community, but also its 2 million visitors, and to produce new jobs and reduce the import of goods. Part of the action plan consists of replacing the complete fleet car of the government with EVs. And just last week, we started with the first pilot program for government EVs together with the National Energy Company. In this way, the government leads by example and encourages the private sector to follow. Part of the vision and plan is also to reduce energy and water consumption in government buildings by, for instance, installing solar panels on government buildings and schools, which project was also recently initiated. Also in this case, the government leads by example and encourages the private sector to follow. According to Aruba's national energy policy, Aruba's energy supply will be climate neutral and self-sufficient by 2050 through locally generated renewable energy without making concessions to affordability and reliability. The government is currently working on the decarbonization pathway, which includes projects like a new wind park, a new solar park, and battery storage, and has initiated negotiations for the construction of a hydrogen plant in Aruba. These projects offer multiple investment opportunities. Aruba has 2 main cities, Aruba's capital, Oranjestad, and San Nicolas on the other side of the island. San Nicolas was a very important city when the oil refinery was still operational. We believe that both cities offer unique investment opportunities. Our priority is the revitalization of both cities, and we're constantly making government investments in infrastructure and beautification. Several abandoned buildings are being renovated by the government as well as by the private sector. And we strongly believe that both Oranjestad and San Nicolas have the potential to become culinary and creative cities, where culture and entertainment are combined. For Oranjestad, we have recently initiated the process to become a so-called city of gastronomy. And for San Nicolas, efforts are being made to promote San Nicolas as a creative city. Both cities have multiple buildings waiting to be renovated. We envision horeca on the ground floors and apartments on the second and third floors. Later this morning, you will receive an interesting this afternoon, you will receive an interesting presentation of the Port City project, and that is being developed currently and is adjacent to Oranjestad and also represent interesting investment opportunities. In San Nicolas, the other city, a first hotel will be built, Secrets Aruba, and will become operational by the end of 2024, which will for the first time bring tourists directly to San Nicolas and will create an economic spin-off for the city and will also make it more attractive to invest in this region. To complement this development, the government is commencing this year the execution of the first phase of investment in infrastructure and beautification of San Nicolas. Additionally, our vision is to connect the city center of San Nicolas with the Caribbean Sea by developing approximately 100,000 square meters of old refinery land, which will bring more development and investment opportunity to the region. Having a capital located by the coast offers strategic advantages for economic prosperity. Coastal capitals historically serve as hubs for trade, commerce, and tourism due to their access to waterways and ports. In order to facilitate investments in these areas, in areas that will contribute to the diversification of Aruba's economy, we have recently introduced a new business license policy, which basically entails that any impactful investment will receive a business license in an expedited manner, and investors will receive a full red carpet treatment. In the breakout session Transformational Oranjestad and San Nicolas, you will receive today the additional information on investment opportunities in these cities. You will be shown real estate opportunities, properties, and will have the opportunity to ask specific questions. Policy advisor Susan Santiago will be the moderator and will be accompanied by architect Rafi Kok, who has designed several plans that are currently being executed and can provide more insights regarding available buildings and development opportunities. Mrs. Zaira Ruiz, representing Aruba Investment Bank, will also join this session and will be able to provide you with any financial and commercial information you require regarding doing business in Aruba. In the breakout session, Agribusiness, Energy, and Waste Management, you will receive more information about Aruba's plans for a more sustainable economy. Jeremy Cruz, Sustainability Lead, will be the moderator, and he will be accompanied by Mr. Anthony Royer, Managing Director at Utilities NV, a government-owned entity responsible for water and electricity production in Aruba, who will elaborate on the transition to sustainable energy and integration of renewable energy sources. Mr. Anko Koopmans, expert on waste management, will present the opportunities in waste management in Aruba. On a last note, before I finalize my speech, as I mentioned, unfortunately, we do not have enough time to go over all the investment opportunities, and therefore I invite you to keep following Aruba. We are at your service. Soon we will be launching an extensive list of new activities that can be exploited through the Aruban Free Zone, which may also be of interest to you, especially given the tax benefits which will accompany this new regime and Aruba's location in the Caribbean just in front of Latin America. Before I close, my gratitude goes to the Dutch representation in Aruba, Mr. Vincent Storymans, to the President of the Chamber of Commerce of Aruba, Mr. Kemmerling, to Mr. Jacob Van Hoff, Chairman of MKB Nederland, Mr. Juan Thijssen, and the Aruba Huis for the full commitment and support for this summit. I extend a sincere invitation to you all to join us in August in Aruba, when we will be celebrating 200 years since Oranjestad was founded. We will be preparing an interesting program and I hope that today we have inspired you to invest in Aruba, and therefore a visit in August will be helpful for you to see with your own eyes what Aruba has to offer. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to engaging with you during the breakout sessions and the business mixer. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Weaver, for your inspirational presentation on the steps being taken to secure a more sustainable future for Aruba. To gain further insight into your considerations for investment, let's take a moment for the last poll of today. Please take a moment to consider the following question. What specific factors do you consider when evaluating the investment climate of Aruba? Risk, I see risk. Security, sustainability, workforce, opportunity, market demand, workforce, facility, compliance, I see trust, planning and permitting. With workforce remaining the most important evaluation for your investment climate, I'm proud to say, as a proud Arubian, that we do speak 4 languages. We are pretty much well educated according to the Dutch system. So we all have finished our HAVO or VWO. We have universities on the island. Most of us would go beyond Aruba and travel to the US or the Netherlands to finish our higher education. And we are a friendly, very happy, friendly island. So if workforce would be one of your priorities, I think you can count on a great workforce in Aruba. And then permits, as the minister said, we are working on a red carpet system for investors that would help Aruba within being more sustainable and investing in diversifying its economy. Thank you for that. Up next, we are delighted to welcome to the stage Mr. Brian Lesinger, the Investor Relations Advisor at the Aruba Investment Agency Arena. Brian will provide us with an overview of the investment climate of Aruba and highlight a couple of exciting business opportunities on the island. Brian, born in St. Martin with Dutch-Swiss heritage, holds a master's degree in international management from Radboud University. Since joining Arena in 2022, he serves as an investor relations advisor and policy officer, playing a vital role in information dissemination, investor engagement, and policy formulation to foster a conducive investment climate. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Lensinger, and I function as the Investor Relations Advisor to the Aruba Investment Agency. What the Aruba Investment Agency is and what we can mean for you, I will get to later on in my presentation. As was already mentioned, I'm here to provide some insight as to what doing business is like in Aruba, and I will do this by primarily homing in on the investment climate and why Aruba stands as an attractive investment destination for entrepreneurs looking to expand their markets. Now, I think most people know of Aruba as a beautiful vacation destination, and it's not exactly hard to imagine. We saw a lot of people in the poll referring to beach, sunny weather, but also our strong tourism product. Now, I'd like to provide a bit of an overview of Aruba itself from a geographic, demographic, but also an economic point of view. Aruba has an area of roughly about 180 square kilometers. It's a small island with a population of about 107,000 people that call it home, myself included now. And Aruba's labor force is about 55,000 workers with high literacy, high internet penetration rates. And although it is proximal to Latin America, we have strong political and cultural ties with the Netherlands and demonstrate proficiency in Dutch and Papiamento as the official language, as well as English and Spanish. Now, being located in the south side of the Caribbean seas means that we experience, the nice part is the tropical and semi-arid climate, 28 degrees, strong trade winds. But on the other, we're also positioned south enough that we're on the outside fringes of the hurricane belt, implying that our risk for hurricanes is exceedingly low. So just to provide an example, the closest hurricane to Aruba was Hurricane Felix in 2007, and that alone was already 100 kilometers north off the coast. So at most, Aruba typically only experiences increased rainfall. Now, Aruba has a real GDP of about $3.1 billion, with a real GDP per capita of about 28,000, the second highest in the Caribbean, as was mentioned in the video. And over the past 2 years, we've seen that Aruba, inflation has hit everybody, but Aruba has sustained a low inflation rate of about 2.9%, which is well below the global average and has also preserved a lot of the purchasing power of Aruban residents and consumers. And Aruba's national currency is the florin, which is pegged to the dollar at about 1.79 florins to the dollar. And this pegging has also delivered a level of stability and security for businesses and consumers. Now, due to the prevalence of tourism, primarily from the US market, accounting for about 73%, we see that many businesses, especially in the tourist areas, accept both dollars and florins as payment. Aruba's economy is primarily driven by a robust tourism industry, and in 2023 we welcomed over 2 million tourists to the island, of which about 1.27 million are stayover and 750,000 cruise tourists. And if we look at the direct and indirect contribution of tourism to Aruba's economy, we're seeing that it accounts for about 74% of our GDP and about 82% of our employment opportunities. And mind you, this is the total contribution, so these are the spin-offs and all the downstream consequences, downstream effects on the other supply and value chains. For 2030, while we're sitting at 2 million tourists right now, for 2030 we're expecting this to increase to about 3 million. And this is also related to a number of tourism infrastructure projects and other projects that are taking place in Aruba, such as the Aruba Gateway 2030, among others. And this growth presents a level of challenge, but also significant economic opportunities, especially in the realm of food supply, food production, especially locally, since there's an increasing demand for that, energy supply, waste management, real estate, e-mobility, and other supply and value chains. Now, this is a graph that represents the nominal private investments over the past 15 years. And as you can see, Aruba has seen a consistent level of private investments. During the COVID years especially, that's when we see a stark decline as expected. But since then, we've rebounded strongly, and we're only seeing an upward trajectory from here on out, especially with a lot of the projects that are underway now and that are on the horizon, and some of the things that Minister Geoffrey Waver had already mentioned. Now, this is a snapshot of the investment climate, and I know that there has already been some overlap. Some things have been said about the investment climate, so I'll speed through some of them pretty quickly. But I do want to add that every investment climate is essentially a diverse ecosystem, and each ecosystem comes with its own opportunities and its own characteristics. And Aruba is no different. It has its flair, its own way of doing business, but mind you, a very professional way of doing business. And there are many factors that make it favorable to doing business in Aruba. For one, we are politically stable, as was already mentioned, without any significant disruptions or frequent changes in government. So there's an intact, functioning political system. We have an efficient legal system based on Dutch law, based on the Dutch law system and backed by the Dutch Supreme Court, and this becomes very recognizable for Dutch entrepreneurs looking to do business in Aruba. Aruba has a skilled and productive workforce, well versed in communicating in the 4 languages I mentioned earlier, and Aruba's force can be best described as highly friendly, adaptable, and hardworking. Now, the island also enjoys a high standard of education based on the Dutch education system, and Aruba is continuously improving its labor force capacity by offering numerous programs at vocational and tertiary levels, which is raising the next generation of hard workers. Additionally, we see that Aruba offers various accredited bachelor, master, and PhD programs as provided, for example, by the University of Aruba in law, economics, finance, accounting, arts and sciences, and also since recently, the SISTEM, the Sustainable Island Solutions, Science, Technology, Energy, and Mathematics, which is breeding or generating a new generation of scientists and engineers, providing them with the skills necessary for sustainable development. Another facet to the investment climate is the high quality of life and that people experience, and that's, we have sun year all around, so there is enough opportunity for outdoor activities and relaxation. But besides year-round sun, Aruba has well-developed infrastructure, a reliable healthcare system, a rich and vibrant culture, and very low crime rates. And this last one can be understated. In fact, according to the Safety Index, we're ranked as the safest country in the Caribbean. And these factors also contribute to the fact that we are also considered, according to the Happiness Index, the happiest island in the Caribbean, which also gives credibility to our tourism slogan, One Happy Island. On the part of infrastructure, well, Aruba has well-developed infrastructure, state-of-the-art seaport and airport facilities with great connectivity to our main markets, North America, Latin America, and European markets. And further, our ICT infrastructure is fast and reliable and also ranked one of the highest in the region. Aruba has preferential market access to both the US via the Caribbean Basin Initiative and the EU through its overseas countries and territories status. As a CBI beneficiary, Aruba can have products imported into the States free of imports if at least 35% of the value was added on Aruba. Thank you for the save. And as of the OCT status, well, we can derive duty-free access into the European market, assuming that goods comply with rules of origin. In addition, we have a free zone Aruba, a special economic zone intended as an instrument to primarily attract businesses looking to utilize Aruba as an export hub. So free zone Aruba is aimed at building Aruba as an international distribution, production, and service center. And it does so by offering benefits and incentives to encourage businesses to do business internationally, whether it's to take advantage fiscally, whether to take advantage of the geographical positioning as a gateway to our neighboring markets, or as to take advantage of the time zone, for example. They offer a number of fiscal benefits, which I'll just run very quickly through. It's 2% corporate income tax, but 0% dividend, 0% turnover tax, import duties, and excise tax, and exemption to foreign exchange commission. And while the word free zone or the word zone gives the impression that it's designated to a specific location, I do want to emphasize the fact that any company anywhere in Aruba can be designated free zone if certain conditions are met. And of course, the focus is typically towards export. Now, Aruba has a competitive fiscal climate, 22% corporate income tax, 10% investment allowance, but the scope to discuss that goes beyond the time allotted to this. So I do want to bring your attention to a detailed webinar that we're going to be holding, spearheaded by or organized by the Ministry of Economic Affairs, where we're going to have experts explain or give context to the legal and the fiscal climate, and that's going to be taking place on the 21st of April. The final point that I would like to make, my apologies. The final point that I would like to make is that Aruba's investment climate is that the government is taking a lot of efforts to improving the ease of doing business. And to this end, Aruba is continuously investing in its conduciveness as a business climate. And as Minister Geoffrey Wafer had already mentioned, there are a number of points that are being worked on, such as, or that have already been achieved, such as streamlining the permitting and licensing procedures. For example, amendments to the business establishment policy, which gives, for example, which designates priority investments and expedites their process to achieve their business license and director's license, as well as access to the business loans for the agriculture through the Agri-Fund. And other initiatives and support measures include the e-government platform to digitalize and streamline public administration, administrative services, liberalizing the hiring process by providing a general exemption to the local labor market assessment, meaning you can employ your key employees. On top of that, expat incentives, and of course the Aruba Investment Agency itself. And on that last note, I'd like to introduce who we are. And as the Aruba Investment Agency, we are an operational unit of the Department of Economic Affairs, Commerce and Industry in Aruba. You can think of us as the IPA or the NFIA, of Aruba, the Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency, which isn't too far away from here. We are committed to supporting foreign companies to establish their business in Aruba, and we do so by pretty much 4 pillars. We do so by informing you about permits, policies, procedures, and incentives for your project, by providing you with confidential and free support, by connecting you with local networks, consultants, key stakeholders, and also listening to your concerns and advocating your needs for a more conducive investment climate. And a bit on a more personal level, my name is, so that's me, Brian Lensinger. My colleague Zuleika Quant over there. We're available for questions, for anything that's needed, and for a lot more information, we would refer you to our website, investinaruba.com, where you can download, for example, the investor guide, our fact sheets, and plenty of other resources. And of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us later on. And on that note, while we are a small team, I'd like to refer to a quote by the Dalai Lama, which is, if you think you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. Thank you.
Let's now take a closer look at some multi-million-dollar development projects on our beautiful island of Aruba. that, let's welcome to the stage Mr. Jair de Pauw, the Commercial Manager at Port of Amsterdam, to introduce the projects of the Aruba Ports Authority. Jair de Pauw, Commercial Manager at Port of Amsterdam, brings extensive experience in international port development and commodities. In Aruba, he oversees various port projects, including Port City and Barcadera Business Park.
Welcome all. I'm here on behalf of Aruba Ports Authority. We are collaborating with Aruba Ports Authority as Port of Amsterdam for almost a decade now. And I'll talk you through to some of the projects we work on together. First, a little background story about Aruba Ports, some key figures. As you know, as a port, the priority is the nautical services. However, being a strong tourist destination for cruise, there are a lot of cruise vessels mooring in at the port as well as cargo. As you can see, these are numbers of 2019, transshipment of over 300,000 tons of goods, as well as over 65,000 of containers. As mentioned in presentations before, there was a dip in 2021 due to COVID. However, recovery happened fast, both in the cruise, which came to a complete halt, as well as cargo. And if you look at different scenarios for the next coming years, it's only positive growth. Then a bit about the pivotal point Aruba Ports is at this moment. It's growing from a traditional landlord port to a commercial organization. That's where the port organization is right now. And it's working its way towards a sustainable partner for many projects on the island, of which Barcadera and Port City are two of them. I think the next slide is an introductory video about the two projects.
With this video, the Aruba Ports Authority NV aims to inform and update all financial institutions about two exciting projects. Starting with Barcadera Business Park. The relocation of the cargo operation in 2016 was designed with the ambition to further invest and develop Barcadera as a multi-cargo port area. The objectives are to improve the ease of doing business and to decrease the cost of doing business. With calm water conditions and safe access from Aruba to both North and Latin America, Barcadera is a logical choice for companies looking to establish their business in the Caribbean. The Barcadera Business Park is centrally located with easy access to the modern and expanded Reina Beatrix International Airport. It also boasts excellent connections with both Oranjestad and San Nicolas city centers thanks to the Green Corridor and Wativas Boulevard roadways. What sets Barcadera apart is its dedicated multi-cargo sea terminal operated by Aruba's stevedoring company Aztec NV. This 440-meter long quay with 11 meters of quay depth guarantees excellent accessibility for waterside operations. The terminal also boasts 40 reefer positions, offering bonded warehousing and value-added services opportunities. We have identified Dry Area North as a primary location for logistics, warehousing, and small-scale industry. And our recently reclaimed plot of land, Reclaimed Land East, offers a lot of potential for energy generation, transportation, and distribution, including renewables, offshore services, and commercial recycling and waste processing activities. Welcome to the future of Aruba's ports. As part of an ambitious master plan, the Aruba Ports Authority, as a government entity entrusted with the public duties in respect to port management, is expanding its scope and is determined to have an important contribution to Aruba's economy. As part of this goal, the Aruba Ports Authority NV and its subsidiary, Aruba Ports Development NV, are excited to introduce to you Port City. Port City is not just another project. It's one of the most important developments for the island of Aruba, as it involves one of Aruba's most coveted commercial real estate. Port City is the redevelopment of the former cargo port area to an urban and multi-use development designed to become a hub for economic activity, driving growth and development in Aruba. With Port City, Aruba Ports Authority NV is also creating a breathtaking first impression for our cruise visitors, which includes a scenic road and a park with spectacular ocean views. The recreational areas, including the continuation of Aruba's linear park, will be accessible for everyone. Port City will be an iconic landmark that will serve as a symbol of the development and contribute to the place branding of Oranjestad and Aruba. Port City is created with scalable building blocks that are flexible to meet the demands and needs of diverse businesses and investors. There are several advantages to investing in Port City. The sustainable design, creative solutions, and flexible building blocks make it an excellent long-term investment. With no competition in the surrounding areas, investors may be confident that they are part of a one-of-a-kind and exclusive project. Port City's area growth represents an opportunity for the entire Caribbean region, not just Aruba. We have designed a destination that showcases Aruba's greatest features while promoting the region's and island's economic development. Our aim is to create a mixed-use development that benefits the community of Aruba as well as investors. We appreciate your consideration of contributing to, believing in, and supporting this innovative project.
So that was nice with sound. I'll use the rest of the presentation to highlight the most important elements of both projects. To start with Barcadera. Barcadera is the premier port of Aruba and consists of 3 areas. The wet area, which is currently in use with the Aztec terminal. The northern part, which is called Barcadera Business Park, which is aimed for more the dry activities of port-related businesses, as well as the Reclaimed Land East, which is an opportunity for more wet activities for businesses that need K-length, for example. Barcadera is already open for business. The publication was last November in 2023. So we are already talking to leads, and we do invite companies that fit the objective profile to really come and talk to Aruba Ports Authority to establish a settlement. Reclaimed Land East is also an opportunity, but more on the long term. So if you look at the projected industries for Barcadera Dryland, it's mostly warehousing, logistics, and small-scale industry. And Reclaimed Land East is focusing on energy, LNG, offshore services, and waste and renewables. I mean, these were also industries mentioned in previous promising sectors for Aruba, and if there's a connection with the use of Ks and deep water activities, this is the premier location. Next project, Port City. Port City is the old cargo port. When Barcadera was established, this area became vacant. Now it's a brownfield development aimed to really connect Arubans with visitors. It's an Aruban project mostly. But it has design principles that really try to connect both visitors as local Arubans. The 7 design principles are really focused on island first, to really connect people, create a meeting place, be accessible, as well as creating a linear park, or actually an extension of the current linear park. 60% of the land is used for public space. So it's really a place to meet and do business. Apart from the design principles, there's some key objectives in the Port City. I'm trying to look at the screen so I can name them. It really tries to create synergy between the existing Oranjestad area. It's absolutely not a competition towards the revitalization of Oranjestad, but it's complementary. It really wants to create added value without taking away opportunities elsewhere. So it's really looking into that niche where Port City can make a difference for the island. Obviously, it's scalable. The full development is phased out over 15 to 20 years. and the tender procedure will start this year, 2024. Then if you look at the program mix, it's a bit of everything. Nothing is too dominant in it. If you look at the commercial functions, it's about half. Other half is residential, divided into apartments as well as like proper a pure residential. In total, it's about 8 hectares of land, and the master plan fits over 180,000 square meters of development space. Like I said, the phase development will probably take 15 to 20 years, and there are 7 phases, and this year the first 2 phases will start. Then, if you look at the investments, Aruba is APA is really looking as a joint effort. APA is investing, but it also reaches out to the market for private investments. For Barcadera, the preparations of Port City, as well as the cruise terminal area, APA already invested, and I have to look at the number, 16 million, 16.5 already. The market also contributed significantly, over 60 million. And then if you look at the upcoming years, it's a large sum needed for Port City. It's a large project. It's also phased out over a long period of time. Estimates are about $570 million is required to make the project complete. APA, of course, will invest themselves as well, particularly in the linear park and the waterfront, the meeting space for the island and visitors. And if you look at the next phases, so the next coming years up to 2030, an estimate of 160 million investment is needed to make this project a success as a project, but more importantly, a success for Aruba. I think this was my last slide. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or my colleague Lex de Ridder sits there. We'll be attending this afternoon, especially the business mixer, and we're looking forward to cooperating on these 2 great projects for the island of Aruba. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian and Jair, for your concise presentation. Are you considering doing business in Aruba? Please do not hesitate to reach out to Brian at the Aruba Investment Agency Arena. He will be more than happy to provide you with further details and assistance. With that being said, I want to thank you for your attention and your attendance. I trust that this afternoon has provided you with the necessary information and inspiration to consider investing in the sustainable future of Aruba. There is wealth of sustainable investment opportunities awaiting you, all of which contribute to a qualitative, innovative, and competitive development of the Aruban economy. Your investments extend beyond mere financing. They align with Aruba's sustainable development goals and have the potential to contribute significantly to the long-term prosperity of the island. We look forward to the possibility of partnering with you on this exciting journey. We would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the Cabinet of the Minister Plenipotentiary of Aruba here in the Netherlands for their invaluable assistance in organizing this summit. A special shout-out goes to Chandra for her dedication and support. Additionally, we want to express our sincere appreciation to VNO, especially Vincent, for generously sponsoring the location and the upcoming business mixer. We also want to thank the Aruba Chamber of Commerce and Industry for their participation in this conference, as well as RVO, VNO, and CEWE, and Internationaal Ondernemen for their efforts in distributing the invitation within their networks. Last but not least, we want to acknowledge and thank the organizing committee composed of Maria, Zuleika, Brian, Siomar, and Jeremy. Your hard work and dedication have made this afternoon possible, and we are truly grateful for your contributions. I want to invite you to discover exciting business opportunities in Aruba, especially during the Oranjestad 200th anniversary celebrations. Enjoy tailored programs, discounted rates, matchmaking, and festive participation. Lastly, we will be sending a short evaluation form to your email. Please take some time to fill it out to help us with the organization of future events. Your feedback is very valuable to us. Thank you once again for your participation. Enjoy the breakout sessions and business mixer afterwards. Until we meet again.
E televidentes, ainda estamos nós temos aqui parte caminho que a primeira parte está concluir agora que nós temos passa para breakout sessions. Parte de breakout sessions sim, nós não está transmitindo live, nós não vai ter informações, já aqui sim telenotícia, mas claro, testimonials de senhor Harry Koeman, Jordi Colwijk, Frank Timman e Eric Meits. Nou, nós passamos rato para met de mira que já acabam de informações já aqui.
Bedrijf met meerdere shareholders die van alles iets op Aruba doen voor toeristen en de lokale gasten. We hebben een hele grote toeristische markt van Amerikaanse, Zuid-Amerikaanse en Europese gasten. En die worden wekelijks zijn het nieuwe, dus de toestroom van toeristen is ideaal voor zaken te doen op Aruba. We hebben 90% mooi weer waar iedereen voor komt. Dus de mensen komen vooral ook voor veel plezier. En dat maakt Aruba heel geschikt om vooral horeca en evenementenorganisatie te hebben. En nu zijn we de laatste jaren ook bezig om terug te gaan naar de binnenstad, want daar is toch allemaal begonnen. We zijn met een groep investeerders begonnen om oude panden op te kopen voor restaurants en vooral woningen, appartementen, om er een leefbare gemeenschap van te maken. En dat de Arubaanse bevolking ook weer trots kan zijn op Oranjestad. En de bedoeling is ook de komende jaren met meerdere investeerders te proberen dat we ook een echte toeristische attractie gaan maken van Oranjestad. Hoe zien wij Wilhelminastraat en Oranjestad en Sint-Nicolaas over 3 tot 5 jaar? We hopen dat met nieuwe investeerders en nieuwe ideeën de stad leefbaar te maken. Qua woning en qua ondernemerschap, kunst en cultuur en van alles wat erbij hoort. En wij verwachten echt met de nieuwe Nederlandse investeerders en buitenlandse investeerders die toch misschien wel naar Aruba komen, om dat wel voor elkaar te krijgen. Want de stad heeft heel veel te bieden en de bevolking verdient een mooie binnenstad op Aruba.
I saw on television a program about hydroponics, and I told my wife, hey, that would be really cool for Aruba, because then they can grow their own stuff. We started really small greenhouse, and I had to learn everything about the system, everything about lettuce, everything about the market, and it took us quite some time in the beginning, but after a few years we could scale up, and we built this greenhouse, what you see now here, which is 750 square meters. And we do a full production of lettuce for our main market, which is hotels and restaurants. One of our goals is to work really sustainable. And that means not only talking about sustainability, but really working sustainable. Therefore, we decided to grow only on demand. So we have contact with the customers, we know exactly what they want, and that is also what we grow. The good thing of that is that we hardly have any waste. Really nice to work in that way, because then you can grow profitable, which I think is important because you need return on your investment. For the future, as you can see, it's almost full. So we are really happy at the moment. We focused on one produce, which is lettuce. We have a really solid customer base now, and for us the next step will be other produce to grow, like herbs, tomatoes, and that will be much easier for us because we have our customers, we have our yeah, the satisfaction in the market. So yeah, that will be doable, no problem. And one of our things, also one of our goals, is to work with young people. So we have 2 employees now, which are like people from about in the 20s, and they have passion for growing, and we want to educate these people and help them to grow the business in the future, so that we can grow agriculture from the inside. And we believe that when you do it like that, you can make it also more sustainable.
My name is Jordi from Wings Global Media. In 2009, I did an internship on Curaçao. I liked it a lot, so I basically decided to come back to the Dutch Caribbean. After my graduation, I basically started as a one-man show, photography, videography, and I was the first person with a drone in the Caribbean, so I immediately drew a lot of attention. Basically, I was just island hopping. I went from one island to the other. Eventually, I decided to establish myself on Aruba because it had the most potential for me. Once Wings Global Media was established on Aruba, I actually figured out relatively fast that there was a high demand for high quality content. Nowadays, we are with 7 full-time crew members, and we basically cater the business-to-business market. For example, video commercials for local companies, animation campaigns, photo shoots, but basically an entire campaign from A till Z for the local market. Aside from that, we also cater the tourism industry with wedding photography and wedding videography. Doing business on Aruba is very special for me because the island has limited resources, which you can basically turn into your advantage by having a lot in-house and also making sure that you have all the knowledge and the skills in-house. Keeping, finding, and building a good team is a continuous challenge. But at this point, I'm very, very happy with the team that we have at this point. If you have a good idea, just come over to Aruba, network, drink a coffee with someone, drink a beer, and fellow entrepreneurs are more than happy to help you. Aside from that, stay humble because we are still guests on the island of Aruba. And definitely don't save on your professionals, your accountant, your tax advisor, and your legal advisor.
At the University of Aruba, we've built a set of programs under the name of Sustainable Island Solutions through Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics. A cluster of a bachelor, a master and PhD programs in which students focus on data sciences, bioenvironmental sciences, as well as technology and engineering. The whole idea of this concept is that we provide the Aruban community with a critical mass of researchers and, of course, well-equipped professionals who can support the development of sustainability solutions and innovation towards the future for Aruba. So if we look at the PhD projects of the system project, then you're really looking at a wide diversity of research into different aspects of sustainability and innovation. For example, one researcher who is actually going to finalize the PhD project this year is going to defend on the recuperation of rare earth materials from brines that come from water production in Aruba. Another PhD candidate is working on waste and waste-to-energy processes, and she will also defend her research this year. And by doing so, we're trying to create a portfolio of possibilities for innovation, for new resource management on a small island state like Aruba, and we're trying to set an example for the rest of the world of small island states there. At the bachelor and master level, we are training the critical mass of young professionals that can support innovation projects that are new developments on the island. Think about people that can support through data sciences or through technological and engineering solutions the technical needs that anybody might have that is setting up a new project over here in this context, with a very special advantage, that is that they are embedded already in the Aruban context and know the Aruban society, community, but also the limitations and boundaries of what is possible in this context. Over the past years in the development of system, we've noticed that there's a huge international interest in collaboration and connections to develop new research projects. So it's our intention and goal to further develop these possibilities, both at the levels of master and PhD research, but also in consortia of collaboration in sustainability for small island states. On May 20th, the new buildings and facilities for the Sustainable Island Solutions programs are going to be opened here at the University of Aruba grounds. We will have both workspaces for visitors as well as an incubator space, and we will have labs that can support development at a local level, contextualized with the right people.
And now you're free to go to the breakout sessions. Anthony, Jeremy, Susan, and Anko are waiting for you in the breakout sessions.
E televidentes, ainda também no momento na aqui vai passar para a breakout sessions. Maneira mencionar acaba de transformation Oranjestad e São Nicolás. Susan Santiago, advisor do Ministério de Economia, Comunicação e Desenvolvimento Sustentável, também parte disso aqui. Agribusiness, Energy and Waste Management, apresentava Jeremy Cruz, Anthony Royer, como também Anko Koopmans, dus esse também está que trata de breakout session anco de bini seguintemente. Nós não também tinha aqui na live, pero também mira aqui back dentro da notícia que nós vai ter muito mais informação enquanto de breakout sessions na aqui. No momento na aqui vai uma entrevista junto com o Ministro de Economia, Desenvolvimento Sustentável, como também Comunicação, Minister Geoffrey. Minister, feliz tarde para nós aqui na Holanda. Feliz manhã na televidente também. Seguro, a manhã aqui mesmo na Aruba Investment Summit. Como de minister sua palavra na mesa assim que aqui?
Me tenho bezig com o segundo ela vai hopi bom. Sim, nós nossa organização aqui para hopi luna acaba e nós turrendo traga e tô um pouco nervioso pelo momento aqui chega para boquear para tu coisa vai bom e para bogas não tá bom entertain e não tá interessar e nós me te querer ela vai echt hopi bom. A opkomst está haldo, sai hopi gente, mais gente que nós expect. Dus zij está positivo, dus tem interesse em Aruba e minha topa diferente gente não já com inversionista não com interessante não novo diferente amigo não de Aruba dus crowd hopi mixto pero com gente não te quer com hopi potencial para Aruba dus discurso não tá hopi bom então a tem reação hopi positivo de participante não durante de break artigo para chance para público algum de interessado na presente e não tá hopi entusiasta e agora aqui tem duas sessões também no lugar. Caminha com também tem dois breakout sessions, caminha com também que grupo que echt quer invertido em São Nicolás com Oranjestad, também tem sala para papi echt die parte aí e a grupo que está interessado em de sustainability, de energy transition, de waste, não por baixo, não também tem outro sala com outro grupo de expertos para assim intercambiar de ideia. Nós passa algum vídeo, nós traz testemunhos de não invertir na Aruba e não é tão bonito para com Aruba te komen over e para waar kon dan te reaccionar. Nós temos international speaker também, o Sr. Knight, e ela explica como botar atrair direct foreign investment e ela faz análise de Aruba também, em seu speech, e botar que Aruba está saindo positivo em sua análise comparado com a região. Então, está sendo orgulhoso e contente.
Seguro, minister, ministra com a palavra de red tapes, que para red carpet. Isso aqui está algo que o governo quer incentivar seguro no momento que o investidor não quer vir a Aruba para investir.
Seguro. Nós não podemos pretender de de quer atrair inversão, ajuda nós a desarrollar nosso país e nos não oferecer nada. Nós temos um paquete de incentivo, nós ajuda com facilitar o processo para projeto por vir realidade. Nós não por atrair inversionista e ora não chega tudo porta na terceira. Então não tenho para guardar, vamos pôr lunas para me não há algo e por essa inversão. Nós queremos para inversão em um lugar mais rico possível. Então agora botinco ajuda, botinco do no red carpet treatment.
Siguro, agora que está passando em breakout sessions aqui, que está local, minister pode dar nos parte disso aqui.
No, de breakout sessions não, nós estamos por exemplo, de meu discurso, mas explica o qual o governo está fazendo, o qual nós está desejando, que tipo de inversionista nós está atraindo e agora den breakout session ideia tá que se não por exemplo está interessado em inversão em São Nicolás com Oranje Stad, que não também engage diretamente com a pessoa que está trabalhando no projeto não é também tem a pessoa que na bureau que está trabalhando que projeto de Oranje Stad com São Nicolás, também tem arquiteto que ajuda nos com diferentes projetos, também mostra diferentes propriedades, tem representante de Aruba Investment Bank que também tem por papel over de inversão em Aruba. Dus assim é nós estamos de chegar mais cerca de inversionistas dan e ordem é breakout session dan tem chance para papel mais de cerca, se pergunta, bom sowieso intercambiar de ideia e também contactgegevens e assim nós estamos de atrair inversionistas para Aruba.
Como nós aí minister plenipotenciário também tem entrevista aqui. Ao ainda minister mesmo está presente para a reunião não toma lugar para que investment summit mesmo está presente na Royal Papers. Conta-nos pouco a reunião aqui mesmo quando está tem outra reunião também toma lugar, pero ao particularmente aqui.
Sim, ao ainda nós fazemos primeiro que summit, nós fazemos visita na Royal Papers, que está visita muito interessante, caminhando com fábrica, produtor de páprica. A invitar-nos para vir na produção e nós estamos ainda e é interessante o como não produzir páprica e o potencial que tem e nós começamos a intercambiar de ideia para que tem a possibilidade para a empresa é bem Aruba para por exemplo nós por produzir nos mesmos páprica para assim evitar reduzir a importação de páprica foi de exterior criando cupo de trabalho fazendo nos mais self-sustainable que nós pararmos próprio pia que nós estamos menos dependentes de importação nos sacam a de COVID que dar momento nos nota nós temos medo que não tá produto e nós decidimos como governo nós quer estimular a agricultura comercial e nós quer percorrer para nós ter food security, ou seja, meta largo pero nós temos nós começar ativamente nós lançar AgriFund, nós estamos na Holanda para inspirar comerciantes para investir em área aqui e por exemplo Royal Papers é uma companhia que assiste nós e invitar-nos agora para vir na mesma produção e basicamente nós começar a intercambiar de ideias com não por vir Aruba e assim para vir com produção de páprica na Aruba. Então aqui está projeto que nós está trabalhando de banana, assim está nos ajuda para trazer inversionista aqui a Aruba e cumprir com o qual nós está papel de food security e cria uma indústria nova, pilar econômico novo da agricultura comercial.
Seguro, minister, mas danke pela entrevista. Seguro, agora aqui nós estamos a fazer breakout session. Tu classe de êxito e amanhã nós vamos continuar com mais de reunião.
Mas danke, Andrew. Thank you.
Minister, junto conosco está o ministro Geoffrey Weaver, minister de Economia, como também Desenvolvimento Sustentável e também Comunicação. Seguro, nós estamos em espera, no momento aqui para uma entrevista com o ministro plenipotenciário, senhor Adi Tyson, como também Maria Pita Dijkhoff, de lo que trata Departamento de Economia. Rato para sair, a televidente por a mira e testemunhos de senhor Harry Koeman, que é owner de Aruba Wine and Dine, Jordi Kolwijk, diretor de Wings Global Media, Frank Timman, diretor Happy Ponics, como também Eric Meitz, de System Project Development Team at a University of Aruba. Isso aqui está lo que trata mainta para Bolsonaro na Aruba, segura tarde de nós para o que está Aruba Investment Summit 2024. Durante de telenotícia nós vai ter muito mais informação também enquanto breakout sessions na maneira de mencionar cabeça que se nós não está passando vivo e direto sobre duas diferentes salas. Esse aqui no momento que o investor lota dirigir diretamente na sala que não deseja de mais informação. De maneira a transformação de dois caíram de Aruba está Vrijstaat e San Nicolás. Essa aqui lota apresentar para Susan Santiago, que trabalha junto com o Ministério de Economia, Comunicação e Desenvolvimento Sustentável, e tem um de Agribusiness, Energy and Waste Management, Jeremy Cruz, junto com Anthony Royer, como também Anko Koopmans, lote snang ko lote brindando informação aqui. Miting junto comigo, que não, miting senhor Adi Tyson, ministro plenipotenciário, que tá dando nos tika informação com ave mainta, ave tarde, mas sabai, ave mainta para Aruba, seguro para ave tarde, ministro, com sentimento na taco Aruba Investment Summit também.
Wel, boa tarde, contente de topar o trobe. Wel, nós estamos contentes, ik quero felicitar o minister de Economische Zaken, o senhor Geoffrey Wever, com o Aruba Summit, Investment Summit. É algo hopi bom, para o WACE, hopi gente bem, hopi pessoa aguti, e me quero apresentação também, maneira mawana, para hopi bom também. Para sentir também, hopi conversação com o team, e ook mesmo para reparar na split, dat in breakout sessions. A nós estamos contentes, porque essa é a ideia também, não, para nós promover a Aruba. Povo de raia investeerders na Aruba. E met de WAC, com o ministro de Geoffrey Wever, te grande zaken. E a nosso rol, meneer Bossad, de gabinete de Aruba, nós temos para ondersteunen, sostener nos ministers, nos kabinet na Aruba. Dus onde que tinha possibilidades dan. E vooral é parte aqui, é parte onde a Aruba tem momento crucial para diversificar sua economia. Então, me estou bem contente para mirar com o ministro Geoffrey Wever da toma dus rienda e estamos vendo ribesaki hopi bom mês. Me quer dizer que diz é pensamento. A mim também tem bom resultado para nós de Aruba.
Siguro, essa aqui tem rol também para Aruba House, caminha com no momento não nos para tiki mas que na mes, caminha com ora Aruba House rol também de bira para dar mais informação no momento que pessoa não aqui também busca informação seca Aruba House.
Seguro, nós temos trabalho, nós temos que facilitar, nós temos que dar informação, assim, turgendo por seguir o desenvolvimento que nós temos aqui está passando aqui na Holanda. Não na Holanda só, não, mas na Europa, para sobre a maneira abusar também com nossa parte de OCTA, overseas countries territories na Brussel, e o desenvolvimento aqui, vooral para o que se trata busca investors, busca fundos para pôr a economia de Aruba crescer. Por maneira que pensava, nós temos um momento crucial, a Aruba tem que diversificar e me tocar com nossa uso também de momento aqui e me querer com turgente também o é fruto não. Só o que está nós estamos sembrando para cosechar amanhã. A mim está seguro que também logra e a nossa dona de nossa parte, o gabinete de Aruba também de nossa parte de aqui. Isso é me assegurar.
Seguro. Minister, mas danke para o que trata a entrevista. Aqui nós temos para breakout sessions, para o ministro também por formar parte disso aqui.
Ok, hobby danke, não? Tu cost bom papo também.
Mas danke, minister. Minister Adi Tyson, senhor ministro plenipotenciário seguro de Aruba aqui na Holanda. Nós temos espera assim nós podemos diretora também de Departamento de Economia, senhora Maria Pita Dijkhoff, caminho presente junto conosco e acaba de aqui para seguro Maria feliz à tarde. Conta-nos pouco somente aqui seguro para o Departamento de Economia com a binta trabalha duro pensar que por um lugar é uma realidade agora que nós estamos passando para breakout session e a primeira parte está finalizar vamos usar a palavra alívio para mirar aqui um lugar e te acaba de chegar no final me quer algo frutífero sim.
Sim, nós estamos já contentes com a corrida que nós aqui na Holanda de hobby inversionista não com tanto online, especificamente fisicamente. Nós estamos contentes, nós estamos aqui interesse que tem, nós estamos echt waak tour apresentação tussendoor, nós estamos fazendo perguntas, nós estamos bom contato com nós também. A primeira parte, verdade, a finalizar a work, nós estamos em breakout sessions, porque não acaba tampouco. A work eigenlijk que trabalho está começar, onde nós temos que reach out para cada cada um dinang ipapurba concretizar lo qual te interesse com nantim pa ku Aruba. So wat que interesse tem para botin ku werk er naartoe a work que echt bosa bij hasi algo mais específico kunang. Dus nós estamos hopi satisfecho estava tá momento nan de nervio naturalmente você tá prome viaja com nós tá hasi investment summit para fora de Aruba. Então naturalmente logisticamente tem outros challenges nan nós não estava tá completamente conhecido nan, pero assim na mes e team ko a situra preparação echt hasi tremendo trabalho nós é hopi bom cooperação de Holanda também de Aruba Huis de VNO na Holanda que ajuda nós dus realmente nós estamos aqui a primeira parte como éxito.
A apresentação, seguro que demos tem ongeveer 150 pessoas presentes. Como é mesmo sinti a conexão entre nang abait so dame den coffee break para mira hopi rato com persona que está conversar com outra.
Sim, bota tá waco não tá echt hopi atento para o qual tá apresentação informação que tá hora do nome Mr. Bisa com nights que tá keynote speaker na primeira parte de emerdia hasi tremenda apresentação over de que tá kansen nang e que tá situação do Caribe, pero ela foco especial na Aruba mostra com inversão na Aruba a tá no último ano e com o desenvolvimento para o futuro, está echt hopi bom. De segunda parte, nós temos ministro mesmo que dá echt uma apresentação onde ela explica que é a visão, que é o projeto na grande que o governo está trabalhando de baixo. E nós temos Brian de Arena, de Aruba Investment Agency, que também aduna é hora mais concreto, que está vooruitzichten na kutim pero também que está climate inversão na Aruba. Claro, nós temos challenges, nós sai inversionista não também sai, pero nós podemos mostrar também que nós estamos trabalhando de challenge para melhorar, para trazer opportunities que mesmo challenges não está dando. Dus me te querer ter hopi bom conexão, me mesmo conversar com diferentes pessoas, pero também evento aqui não está solamente ao emerdia, tanto ayer como ao mainta e amanhã a trove nós estamos visitar algum outra instância também com algum dina a invitar-nos, outro a nossa pedir paciente com também está inversionista na potencial para Aruba, que tem projeto na que está hopi interessante, juist em área na que o governo quer estimular. Então, se aí está hopi bom e nós temos amanhã à noite também, nós temos o grupo de young entrepreneurs na Rubiano, na Holanda, estudante, que também nós quer conversar com eles sobre a Nanta the Future e nos quer na Aruba e nos quer como inversionista na Aruba também. Então, se aí está amanhã à noite, então, nós está espera que nós está uma acolhida, mesmo com nós que é inversionista na holandês, nós espera com nós jovens também acudir amanhã, então, para nós intercambiar ideias e vacinar também também para Aruba.
Seguro, aqui tem momento para Maria agradecer, seguro, esnang quase dia aqui possível ter no momento na aqui seguro hopi pessoa de departamento Maria está na cabeça pero tem várias pessoas que está assim aqui possível junto com o departamento de economia também o ministério de economia tá hopi gente atrás para esse dia é possível.
Seguro que sim. Well, na primeiro lugar, me começo com o mesmo departamento, esse aí está Zuleika Quant e Brian Zellinger, e nós dois echt ajudam-nos mais a hopi mesmo na organizar a maioria de lo qual é parte de evento mesmo. Nós temos Susan Santiago e Giovanni também que ajudam-nos de Bureau de Ministro, naturalmente o time de Bureau de Ministro estava mais grande também. Me quero agradecer também Chandra Sean de Aruba Huis, que estava eigenlijk pessoa que para nós, ela se hopi trabalho aqui na Holanda, so nós estava na Aruba. Naturalmente, Jeremy Erasmus também, Jeremy Cruz, a minha esperança de olvidar nenhum gente, de Aruba também, que acompanha-nos e dia todo dia na Guiana, e tá 13 notícia aqui para Aruba, porque é importante também, para Aruba, não há que tem potencial aqui, porque nós podemos joint ventures também, inversionista de Aruba, com inversionista de Holanda, junto trabalhar a projeto na Aruba. Então, essa é também a possibilidade. Então, sim, me te quiere, me miedo me olvidar alguna persona, pero me te hobby que dice. El trabajo guardo más tanto así de mi colega Nancy, de Zuleika con Jeremy, con Giovanni, Brian, cada una hobby great, bonita presentação, hobby inhoudelijk, hobby informação como te quer, tá hobby primordial para gente aqui haya, dus me te quer esse aí tá algo também. E ministra sua apresentação naturalmente, está na cabeça, dus na ministra também danke, ela dá-nos oportunidades para nós abrir e para nós preparar evento aqui pele.
Siguro naman siya danki Maria e nossa conta com presença ainda amanhã kinang na Holanda e pa na Aruba vai haya muito mais informação de dia na seguinte enquanto de lo que trata summit e nos via aqui na Holanda.
E nos invitado para visitar a website de Aruba Investment Agency que está investenaruba.com e na tua representação também bem tua vídeo na que nós estava tendo diferentes testimonials de inversionistas holandeses que está na Aruba caba anto a papia eigenlijk com a inversão a baie com atrativo eta wata tapa invertir na Aruba. Dus turcos também tá a website, nos potret nan tami cultura worden saka, dus boso por by visitar a website anto eigenlijk bibun tiki lo qual conosca biba kinana de dia nan kinana.
Danki Maria, felicidade.
Danki, igualmente.
Maria Peter Dijkhoff, que é diretor de Economische Zaken IMS na Aruba. Siguro no momento aqui sim nós chegando na final de nossa transmissão vive direto aqui for de Holanda para o que trata Aruba Investment Summit 2024. A mim Andrew vrolijk, junto com colega nan ko ahasi a transmissão aqui possível aqui for de Holanda. Nós vai back para Aruba, caminho com nós bisabo feliz atari.